Yep. Oh, it's ready. Good morning. I know there's a lot of way today, but I think there's more on stage than there is on the. But we'll give it a go, eh? We'll give it a go. So the first song is. How do you like our mini orchestra? We got 5 different instruments today. Okay, we're going to do "Blessed Be Your Name." Oh, here comes someone. There's my wife. She's coming. Come on, Liz. We need you. Come on.
She's not just someone. I just want to say hello to someone near you. Morning, morning.
Broken vessels, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
see you now. I can see the love in your eyes, laying yourself down, raising up the broken to Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning our song shall rise to thee.
Holy, holy, earlier this week, I was drawn to Colossians chapter 3 and reading from verse 12. And I'm always amazed how God can just bring a message to us at a time. And I think this really will match in with what Ian's going to talk to us about later. It says, "Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness and patience. Bear with each other and forgive whatever grievances you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you, and over all these virtues put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom, and as you sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs with gratitude in your hearts to God. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him." Amen. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's Kevin, and if you're watching online, it's great to have you with us as well. Thank you, worship team. It was wonderful this morning. Thank you so much, guys. We're going to have to do a bit of a move around. Roland, are you all right to grab your didgeridoo? And I will bring this up here. Fantastic. Don't want to trip over anything. I feel like I'm going to come unstuck very easily today. So welcome again. It's great to have you guys with us. We are scattered to the four winds a little bit this morning. We've got lots of people in lots of different places, but the thing that I felt the Lord was reinforcing to me today was unity, that we have unity in the body. Even though we're not in the same place, we can share the unity of the Spirit with everything that we do. Not just HFC, but globally as a church, we get to do that. So firstly, thank you for your financial support. Thank you for your prayer support and for your ongoing giving towards the local community, your physical support and that sort of stuff. It's just so important. And I think as we reflect on Ian's message today, we're going to experience more of how we can do that in our local community. I do have some announcements. The first one is the Spring Fest. If you have been asleep under a log over the last 4 weeks, then you won't know about this. The rest of you will. Next Saturday from 11 till 3. Let's not do 3 onwards because we'll miss the boat. From 11 till 3. I know there will be some of us down here Friday organising stuff. So if you're free Friday and you want to give an hour or two, that would be wonderful. Perhaps see me afterwards for that. There are still plenty of opportunities to be involved in supporting this event, either physically on the day or financially supporting a particular activity within the Spring Fest. There are still sign-up sheets at the back where you can put down what you might be interested in being involved in, or if you want to financially support, you can put your name down there as well, and then you can either put the cash in an envelope with the activity that you want to sponsor, or you can electronically transfer and just put a note there to say that you want this money to go towards the bouncy castle or kids' activities or whatever it might be. That would be greatly received. Due to a large number of apologies this morning, but also due to some fantastic pre-planning on behalf of the Springfest committee, Barb's decided we're not going to have the meeting after church, so that won't take place. But Barb did send out an email, so if you've read that email and there's something on there you need to reply to, please reply to Barb. That will just make her life so much easier and will help to cover any of the gaps that might still be in the planning process. Now I'm going to invite Braden up. I'm not sure how many microphones we've got up here, mate. Do you want to bring one with you? We got that one there? Okay, fantastic.
Hello, everyone. I'm Braden. Oh, thank you, Paul. Hey, I'm up here to Spruik next Tuesday night. the music team has started we normally have our music once a term. That's the school in me. Once a month. Every off Tuesday. Am I explaining this well?
Keep going. We'll get there.
Anyway, this Tuesday coming up, we call it sort of our worship night, where we all come along and we can actually play songs that one are new, or two, ones that we've done before but just wanted to, refine our craft. But we're also opening it up to anyone that wants to come along to, one, either sit in the congregation and worship with us, or two, jump on an instrument. So if you're, inclined to want to, bang on pots and pans at home, mate, come here and do it on a drum. Or if you learnt piano as a child and want to, that inner child, you want to come up and have a bit of a play. These Tuesday nights are opened up to absolutely everyone who wants to come along. Like I said, whether that's just to worship along with us, a bit of a community sort of night. But we'd also love you to bring an instrument or come along and play if you really want. So Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, we'll see you there.
Terrific. Thank you, sir. We do have prayer group this Wednesday from 7 till 8 o'clock. And if you're inclined to come along, if you would like prayer for yourself or for a family member or a friend, please feel free to come along and join in with that. Similarly, if you would like to be involved with praying for others, then that is a perfect opportunity to come. So that's Wednesday from 7 till 8 here in the church worship centre. And on the first thing on the list of prayers this week is for fine weather on Saturday. So if you're not able to make it here on Wednesday, please pray for that anyway. We would love to have some awesome weather on Saturday for the Spring Fest. It would be great. Also, next Sunday we will be hosting Team Challenge. Did I say that right? Teen Challenge? Yes. Sorry, I didn't think of Teen Challenge. As we explore the topic, a celebration of Jesus. We will be blessing them with a shared barbecue after the service, so please bring a salad to share after the service. We will also be taking up a love offering to support the work of Teen Challenge, so please consider this opportunity to bless them also. That would be great. Now I have the great privilege of welcoming up Ian to share our message. Ian, yes, sorry. Okay. Please, Ian, please be seated for a moment.
If you build it, they will come.
Julio, I don't just see a car park when I look out here. I see a field of Springfest dreams. I see a free kids bouncy castle. I see free kids face painting.
Regalos Alameda.
I see kids activities.
De plantas.
I see live music.
Ante acalos a bebés. A velez.
I see men barbecue and bocce.
Más de 20 pesos. Celio Venskerius, volos in yard.
There was a lot of work go into that, so we couldn't let that go, could we? Thank you guys for reminding me of the video. I had forgotten. Okay, so now without further ado, I'd like to welcome up Ian to share his message today. And this continues on from where he and Marg left off a couple of weeks ago. And I've got a special note here to say, if you have any questions, Ian would be delighted to answer them at the end of the service because it's an opportunity for us to grow and to be able to serve our community. So I'm going to hand the yellow microphone over to Ian.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. Hey, look, I might just come down a little bit here and have a bit more of a, rather than being a real formal sort of thing there, is can people want to come in a bit closer to me? You look like way out there, and you don't have to if you don't want to. That's what we'll say, if you don't want to.
I just want that homely feel. I reckon I can grab a chair, move this out here, and I'll grab one of these chairs here. Yeah, I'll grab one of those. That'd be fantastic. And then I can just sit down and put my feet up and just enjoy it. Yeah, I'll put it on the stage there because I think the camera, how you going, everyone at home there? Yeah, so they can still see me there. That feels better. That feels more homely. Look, as I came out, I thought, I'll come out here and stand and do my usual lecturing stuff. But then as I thought, this is more intimate. This is a smaller group that I might change my tack so I'm not blabbering out here and just telling lots of different things in there. But hey, welcome back. This is really good. Those who was with me for the, myself and my wife 2 weeks ago. Who was there? Most people were? Yeah, fantastic, great. So we're going to just sort of run along with that. Now, I just say we. My Marg's not here. Although, we have put this together, both of us. She's been able to, she's had to engage in her duties as an elder at her church, and so she's there this morning. So you're stuck with me, unfortunately. Okay. I've got that up there. I haven't got a clicker to push that along or anything, but that's all right. Oh, there it is up there. This is my commandment to you, that you love one another as I have loved you. Oh, thank you. I might just move that down a little bit. Yeah, perhaps you could do that for me.
Watch your fingers.
Yeah, that's better there. This is my commandment, that I love one another as I have loved you. And it sort of talks about that that whole part about caring is to love one another as Jesus loved you. I don't know about you though, but I reckon that's pretty darn hard to do. I know there's some people out there that have heard me, and I don't know. I'm finding it hard to love them. I can forgive them, but I think it's really hard to do that. And I was wondering, reading that message, and I was wondering today about it, what Jesus meant by that. Love, this is my commandment, that I love you, or that you love one another as I have loved you. Now, I know Jesus loves me more than I know, and he loves each one of us individually and the same, and cares for us. So I think rather than Jesus saying, hey, look, do this, otherwise, you're no good. You have to love everyone, because I loved everyone, so you have to do it. I think that's a bit hard. I think what he's talking about here is a principle, is something to aspire towards, something to go towards, to reach out and love everyone as much as he has loved you. And that's what I'm going to talk about, is that principles. Now, sometimes principles are things that we don't quite reach all the time. And you don't need to beat yourself up about that. Okay? You got to realise that we are, human. We've fallen. We can't be perfect all the time. If we were, who would we be? Yeah. But we can aspire to it. We can have that as one of our principles. Let me just recap about, I think it's that one there. There we go. We've got the recap up there. No, it's not sort of playing forward. Not playing Happy Campers. Never mind. I'll keep going. There we go. Fantastic. So I'm just going to recap, and then today we're looking at that empathy, boundaries, self-care, and questions. So this is about what you can do to help people who have mental health challenges. What each one of us can do, but also about how to look after yourself. And I do think that Jesus, when he says, love one another as much as I have loved you, he's not only talking about you loving one another, but to love yourself as well. Is to put in boundaries and self-care for yourself and have empathy for yourself. So let's go back. Zip on to the next slide. What is mental health there? Marg and I talked about it about 2 weeks ago. Mental health, rather than seeing it as, oh my goodness, mental health is something negative. What mental health is about wellness rather than illness. It's about it being have a state of well-being, and having good mental health enables you to deal with what life throws at you. So that's good mental health, and it's about feeling resilient, enjoying life, and be able to connect with other people. We then have, from that, we can, and most of us have at some stage in life a mental health condition. We saw that in the 2 weeks ago that, the rate of mental health throughout the world is increased, and nearly 1 in 2 people throughout their life will have some mental health conditions. It becomes a conditions, apart from just having a bad day, it becomes when it adversely affects your personal day-to-day life. And it is prolonged. Now, we're not talking about, waking up in the morning going, oh my goodness, I'm going to have a mental health day. I'm going to have a sickie at work or stay home from school because I'm not feeling well. I just can't get out of bed today. It's not talking about that. It's not talking about, oh my gosh, I had a really bad week, shocking week. I was stressed all week. It's like, I'm feeling down all week. It's not talking about that. It's prolonged when it's there continually, probably at least 3 or 4 weeks, continually affecting your day-to-day life. That's when it's a mental health condition. And doesn't discriminate. So, it can affect anyone from all walks of life, identity, positions, age. It will affect anyone. And we know anxiety is a huge one in our society there. I just want to show a little video here about a young girl about her struggles with anxiety. And I think what we can gain from this young person as she steps out and it's raw, you can see the anxiety with her. It's not like, someone, says, oh, I've got anxiety and I've achieved it. I've got over it. No, it's about this girl who says, I've got anxiety and I live with it. But she's learnt tools to manage it. And when we look around, there is a little bit about some tools that you can do to help people with mental health. Now, it's not about having professional advice for them, but it's about what you can do. And one of the things she says at the end is she talks a little bit about the stigma of mental health, but she talks about how we need to change our language a little bit. About when we make jokes about people with mental health issues. It's not, it's like, oh my goodness, they're really loopy. Oh my goodness, that's such a drama queen. Those sort of things. We need to change our language and look deeper and to have some empathy with those people to understand what's going on, what's happening. It could be a mental health condition. And if we can see it through that they may have a mental health condition, and we can see that through that brokenness, I think we can have more empathy without seeing the negative behaviour. We're looking at what's happening with that person, what's happening to them for them to act like this. So if we can play this video, this would be great. when you look at that, what do you see? What did you hear? What did you notice?
It takes a lot of guts to get up in front of many people like that and talk about that. Yeah. And it's getting rid of the stigma surrounded by it. The more you know about something, the less you can stigmatise it and have some intelligent thought about it instead of condemning people.
Yeah, the more you know about it, the less stigmatism happens there. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, about self-care there, in that there. Yeah, definitely, but bringing it out and knowing about it. What else? What other people? Anything else?
Not to make light of it, like she said, so your Starbucks order was wrong, you were depressed, you're going to commit suicide. Don't make a joke of it, because it's a serious condition. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, don't make light of it. You know, it's so important, and we've got to watch that language that we use with people, specifically when we are with people who are having a mental health, and we don't know what's going on. Like you said, you know, you could look at her, walk past her in the street, and you wouldn't know. Now, if someone had a broken leg and walked past you in the street, you would know, wouldn't you? And you could have empathy for them. You could have sympathy for them. Oh my goodness, that must be so hard. They're broken. It. How on earth? That must be so painful. Oh, how did you do it? And oh wow, what do the doctors say about it? You know, is it going to heal? How long is it going to take? You know, it's quite easy to say that with a person with a broken leg, but we can't see that with a person or not readily at the start, with a person with a mental health condition. We may be able to see their behaviours, and sometimes they're the ones that we react to. When someone's, you know, we see someone down and sad, or when someone is volatile, angry, outbursts. Sometimes being depressed causes anger. You know, the drama queen, that could be a mental health concern. And so what we need to do is to have empathy. And empathy is about trying to understand the cognitive and emotional reactions of individuals and share these back with them. The cognitive, that's their thinking, trying to understand what's going on in their thought processes. And what are they feeling? And then share these back with them. It's a bit like, you know, the prodigal son, you know, in Luke 15:20, you know, so that he set off and went to his father. You know, this is the son that left the father and you know, got his inheritance earlier, then he, you know, spent it on wine, women and fast cars, or fast probably camels back then. But you know, his father saw him coming home and away off distance, and says, but while his father was still far off, his father saw him, and he was filled with compassion, and he ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Okay, now, not saying to go out people with mental health issues and run up and give them a kiss. Okay, that's probably not appropriate these days. But this is a father and son talking about here. But what that tells me there is that empathy. He ran up, gave him a hug, okay, and connected with him. And I reckon he would have said, "Are you okay?" You know, at the very start, "Are you okay?" Imagine, you know, someone close to you had been away for a long time. You know that they, you know, had some challenges, and they come back. You probably say, "Hey, are you okay?" But what it tells me is that the father didn't chase after his son. He didn't run after trying to fix him. You know, he didn't keep phoning him up or you know, sending smoke signals up or writing letters. You know, come back. You know, you have to do this. Oh my goodness, you got to fix this. I know what you need. I know what you need to do. No, he didn't.
But when his son was ready to come back, that's when the father embraced him and probably said, "Are you okay?" And we move on to the next slide there of "Are you okay?" Now, we've seen this around a fair bit, isn't it? Are you okay? And I really love this, is that if you do see someone who's sad, who's angry, who's crying, who's down, who's probably, maybe a little odd, you can say to them and listen, "Are you okay?" Ask them, "Hey, are you okay?" Then you listen. You're not telling them what to do. What you do is you listen and ask them, "Wow," reflect back, "Wow, that sounds really tough." Or, "I don't know what you're going through. I can't understand what you're going through. But what do you need? What can I help you with?" I often say to my, my wife, say that now, "Hey, honey, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to listen to you, or do you want me to fix it?" So she's telling a problem, okay? And there's a good little tip there. And so often she says, "Look, I just want you to listen." And that's what most people want, to listen. So I said, "Yeah, I can do that. I can listen. No worries, honey," And there was another time that she was under the sink trying to fix up the tap, and it burst, and the water came gushing out everywhere, and she screamed, "Ian, Ian." And I went, come out and saw there's water everywhere. She's still under the sink. There's water spraying on her. And I'm going, "Oh, wow, honey, that sounds really hard. That looks really tough. I bet that is so frustrating for you, isn't it?" And the water's gushing over. She said, "Oh, can you help me?" I said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like me to fix it for you?" So there are times where we do need to help people to fix, but we need their permission. We need to ask them, "Hey, what can I do? How can I help?" Without jumping in and trying to fix it. Quite often we see what people may need, but it's not what they need. As a counsellor, I can guarantee in the first session, I could talk about something, give them a little tool and go, "Oh, no, look, I've nailed it on the head here. I've given them this tool and this is going to be absolutely fantastic. They're going to go away and they're going to use the tool and it's going to be the start of the change of their life." And I think that, and at the end of the session, I always ask them, what was helpful? What was the best thing from the session or something like that, generally what is helpful. And 99.99% of the time what I thought was helpful, they didn't say. Most time they said, "Oh, thank you, just someone that can hear me and just sit there and listen empathically or listen without judging." So listen and ask what they need. Most of the time they want someone just to listen there. Ask how you can help. Encourage for action too. You can say, "Hey, have you seen your GP about this? Who else have you talked to about this? Who's supporting you at the moment? Who would you like to support you at the moment?" So that's encouraging action. It doesn't mean that you need to do it. And then once you do that, don't just leave it. Just, check in with them a week later or say, "Hey, how are you going?" We're going to leave some time for questions at the moment, so I'm going to skip through some of these things a little bit quicker there. But to do that, you need to have some boundaries yourself. Boundaries are about protecting the person that you're with, protecting yourself. And boundaries actually showed love and help. I'll give you a little example of a boundary. There's a father and he's taking his 4-year-old daughter to the basketball game, and 4-year-old daughter was running up and down the stairs where the seating is, and the father said, "Look, I'm just going to help her just about learn about what is helpful, what she needs to do. She's never been to a basketball game." Says, "Okay, you can run up and down stairs here," and he took her down to the court. "Now, see this yellow line?" He said, "You can't put a foot over it." Okay, and And anyway, he said, no worries, little girl, oh, that's okay, Daddy. Anyway, the basketball game starts, and the little girl runs down the court and then turns around, gives the dad a big smile, and then puts one foot over the yellow line. What she was doing, she was testing boundaries. And she does that to make sure that it's safe. She wants the boundaries and for it to run back, to not push back, but say, Dad said, okay, yep, that's the boundary, that's it. But she was testing it to be safe. And you can imagine that picture, can't you? The little girl standing over there. So every time, young people or even older people, you feel that they're testing your boundaries, they're doing so to feel safe. And you need to hold those boundaries firm so that they feel safe and you feel safe, so that they feel loved. And we're talking about boundaries. One is to set some time limits. Go to someone and say, hey, I've got an hour with you. Or, look, I've got half an hour, let's have a quick coffee. Make sure that you connect with them and set that time. Also, tell them when you're available and when you're not available. Sometimes we can get calls at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock at night and things like that. Now, I don't answer my phones on weekends for clients or after hours. I'm setting boundaries for myself and also there protect the clients as well. It's about protecting the people, It's like protecting yourself from burnout, but protecting them as well. Because if they talk for about 3 hours, it probably end up going around in circles and gets overwhelming for them. And that's not helpful. Be clear about what you can do and what you can't do. Set that agreement straight away with them. Hey, I'm here to listen to you. Wow, your situation's tough. I haven't got the skills to help you, but I can listen with you. Hey, I'm available on Tuesday afternoons. We can catch up then. Hey, look, you can call me and text me. I may not respond straight away. So don't be offended if I don't respond straight away. It may be a day or two. But if you want to text me, and we'll just check in to see how we're going. Hey, look, after 6 o'clock at night time, I've got my time with my family. So if you ring or text me, I'm sorry, I probably won't respond. I don't look at my phone, then I'll put it away. It's sort of about what you can do. But I can see you. You can call me, and I'll call you. Set about what you can do. Encourage action to seek help. Okay? Don't do it alone. Help them to get professional help. And be confidential. They told you stuff. Don't go to the person down the street. Oh, guess what's happened? Hey, you want to hear the latest goss? So-and-so. Oh, my goodness, they got a mental health condition. Oh, my goodness, they told about this and that. Their relationships on the rocks. Oh, my goodness, no. Oh, they're, and they're starting drinking more. No, don't do that. Don't do that. If you want some help yourself, we're looking at that self-care. Is about that. Is if you're unsure what to do, you can talk to someone about the situation without giving people's names away. But first of all, if you want to help people, you need to care for yourself. You need to look after yourself as number one. Years ago, I used to do training people for vertical rescue, like how to rescue people off cliffs. And I used to train defence people and the Star Force and a whole range of different people. And I always said to them, okay, you've got this incident, you've got a person halfway down the cliff screaming and yelling. Okay, and you've got, there's people around you in that as well, and you're there by yourself. Who's the most important person that you need to look after first? It's yourself. Because I said, you know what? if you have an accident, who's going to look after the person? And then I go, okay, who's the second person to look after? And they go, oh, well, if I'm I'll go to the bystander. But to the person down the cliff. I said, no, that's screaming and yelling. The bystanders. You know, look after them as well. That's your family members around you. That's your own friends. You know, you don't want them to have accidents as well. And sadly to say, you know, look after that person with the injury down the rock last, because you're looking after yourself. You're looking after the people around you as well, and you're looking after them. And so what's happening here is that you're self-caring about yourself, preserving yourself as number one by allowing people to be, you know, you still connect with your friends, connect with your family. Make sure you look after yourself, your well-being, your health, and therefore you can look after someone else. So if someone, you know, is coming up to you, and if you've got some challenges in your life, maybe it's a relationship challenge, don't take on the other person's issues. Okay, look after yourself first, and say, hey, look, I love to talk, but at the moment for me, I'm not in the space to do it, but I'll put you on to so-and-so. Refer on. Give time to yourself. You know, caring for someone with mental health issues can be time-consuming. So you need to give time for yourself. Read your favourite book. And Jesus, you know, or Paul said Jesus, you know, often went to withdraw in the wilderness to pray. Oh, I love that. Get in the outdoors. Go out there and pray. Go for a walk. Look after yourself. If you're working with people with mental health constantly and regularly, look after yourself. Recharge. Learn. Try to learn about what is their mental health. Do some resources. Have a mentor or a prayer partner that you can bounce ideas off to recharge, because it's very draining. I just want to have a short clip about, and then we're going to go into questions after this, about empathy. What is empathy? How you can be empathy. This is from Brené Brown. Some of you may know Brené Brown. And Brené Brown is a scholar, and she does a lot of work in this empathy space. And she's put this little clip together about what is empathy and how it's different to sympathy. And I love this because it talks about just checking in and some things that you can say when you don't know what to say, when you can't really understand the person's situation. So it runs for about 2.5 minutes, and then we can have some question time.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
So I guess working with seeing people with mental health is what makes things better is that just that connection. Does anyone anyone gain any ideas from that or thought, wow, that was terrible? Yeah, want a sandwich?
People are evading the actual situation there, the actual issue.
Yeah.
And so and so's getting kicked out of school, or at least Sarah's an A student. They're evading the actual issue that's right in front of them.
Yeah, sometimes they do that. We try to make their world better by saying, "Oh, it's not that bad,"
which isn't the point. It doesn't deal with the point that you're faced with.
Yeah. Well, I got it worse. Well, you got a broken arm? Oh, I had a broken leg. I know what it's like. Yeah.
I think agreeing with Paul as well, but it's just that lack of acknowledgement of what the actual problem is. I think people want to feel like they've been heard and their problem is acknowledged, not to try to sugarcoat it by saying, oh, your life's not that bad. It's really condescending because they don't really know the experience that the person's going through. So I think it's really about listening and acknowledging the person's problem rather than trying to make them feel less sorry for themselves, because that comes across to a person as very guilt-ridden and condescending.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure each one of us has had moments where just like that is that, we want to talk to someone, they just said, let's try to fix it. And we go, no, you don't want you to fix it. Just listen to me. I can fix it myself. But, I want you to hear me. I want you to connect with me. I don't want you to try to make it better. I want you to connect first.
Ian, there's that sense of when you allow people to share what they're going through, that is actually empowering for them. With the other clip, the young lady there I just got that sense that every opportunity that she was given to share what she's going through is actually an empowering thing for her, so that it becomes less fearful, that anxiety. It's actually, becomes less of a thing for her, that she can actually reduce that anxiety because she's sharing it and offloading it. And when you have the bigger the support group around you that know about it and are caring for you, then actually the fear can actually drop because she's sharing it. That's very empowering.
It is. I think that sharing is very, very helpful, so people can feel heard and listen and feel like they're understood. It is important to and I think this is what we need to be quite mindful of, and like are you okay is to say where help them to get support. If they're constantly sharing the same thing, that's not helpful for them. It's not helpful for you. And it's not helpful for people around you. That's like that, rescuing off the cliff. That person's still screaming and shouting, and it's okay at the moment. And that's where you've got to think about, okay, where can I put my resources and refer them on? But absolutely, at the very start of that, they can share with a range of people and constantly share. But if they're stuck, then they need to go see the GP, the counsellor, or someone else there. If people are talking about the same thing over and over again, that's the stuckness, and that needs other support more than listening. That's when they need the tools. Yeah.
When I used to lecture, I used to use a lot of Dr. Louise Porter's material. And one of the things that she said that I always reflected on was when somebody's drowning, it's not the time to give them a swimming lesson. Because sometimes we think we need to solve something for someone, or to give advice, or to let them know how we feel, or to tell them we've had an experience which is similar. That actually takes away the experience from somebody else. I think that you just need to during a crisis, and I had a personal tragedy this year, and what I found really helpful were particular people in the church like Mike and Kay, who are very good at active listening, very non-judgmental and supportive within the church. What I didn't find helpful is some people outside of the church who would try to tell you what you should do or do things on your behalf without acknowledging that. And when you go through a personal tragedy, it's very disarming for people to take control. Like, I think it's important to let somebody still be in control, even if it's a terrible tragedy, that they've got to be supported in that. And that one simple question of asking them, what can I do that would help you? That's empowering them, rather than being suggestive and thinking, right, I know what to do, and I'm going to do that on their behalf. So what I found helpful during my family tragedy was people within the church that would say, how are you going? And just would listen, you know, whether it was Paul or Kay or Rach, and their love and kindness, that can never be underrated enough as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So, you know, if it's, you know, some people, and it's a great thing to do, is to offer a meal to someone, but ask them. You know, I mean, you know, if I'm feeling really down and you know, someone asks to cook me a meal, or, you know, if someone just gives me a meal and it was pea soup, oh my gosh, I'd be horrified. I hate peas. Okay. I'll be, oh my goodness, you know, they're really not trying to help me at all. But it's like, hey, I can make some pea soup. Would you like that? Oh no, I don't like peas. Oh, okay, well, some crayfish. Bring some crayfish over. That'd be better. You know, yeah. Ask is that, and have that agreement with them. Hey, would you like to talk? They can say no. That's okay. Yeah, definitely. Questions. Questions about helping people.
You were talking about stigma last time. Do you think there has been a shift in society, or do you think we've still got a long ways to go?
Yes and yes. I think there's been a very big shift with programs like Are You OK, Beyond Blue, Black Dog Institutes. They've really have put it. It's okay to, you know, to feel down, depressed, or have mental concerns. I think the gap is we still don't know what to say to people, and afraid of that there, and kind of blindsided there. So I've still got a way to go there. I think it's a bit like the young girl there is changing our language helps a big way to be more inclusive, and take out those stereotyping languages, and to see people who are having challenges and say, hey, that might be not tell them, hey, you're having a mental health issue at the moment. That's telling them what they have, but say, hey, are you okay? As simple as that. And you may, and like Brene Brown said, it's like you go, wow, that's really tough. I don't know what you're going through, but that sounds tough. You know, that's all you can say. And that's great. That's better than nothing at all. Other questions?
Something that interests me is I've read a lot about narrative therapy, who was founded by Michael White, who was a friend of mine who's since passed away. And his whole perception of positive mental health was, the underpinning of it was that we need to look at the person and that they should be allowed to tell their story. And that's the most important part. And I think it's that not interrupting their story. Sometimes when people go through personal tragedies and trauma, which we all do, it's about really, really listening to that. But something that I've found with mental health, and it's sort of something that I wonder about is that with education sometimes it can educate some, but it can actually fuel others. You know, like I've seen people use people's difficulties going through a hard time with mental health and actually stigmatise that by saying, oh, they've got bipolar, or, you know, it makes them feel even more further belittled. And I'm just wondering what sort of things you can do in situations when people do go through trauma and grief, whether it's a life situational thing like rape or murder or loss of a child or loss of a marriage. What sort of things can you say when people are at the pinnacle of this trauma, which is something horrific? You know, how this is sort of everyday conversation, but how do we approach people when they go through something horrific?
Yeah, that certainly is. And I think what we need to do is sit there, listen, and we need to have boundaries ourselves, because what they say could very well trigger and overwhelm us. And I think it overwhelms us because, one, we want to care for them. Two, it could be because we want to fix them, but we don't know how, and we feel, oh my goodness, I'm out of my depth. So I think in looking at that is that if you feel really uncomfortable yourself, it's just say that to people, hey, look, I'm sorry, I'm not the right person to talk about this. I feel really uncomfortable. Just be honest. The other thing too is in significant situations when you go, I'm out of my depth, that's when you can just sit there and listen and say, hey, I don't know what to do. All I can suggest is, what you're going through is awful, to say that, and encourage them to get professional help in those situations. Hey, you know, have you seen your GP about this? I think you should have a chat to your GP. That's probably the first point of call there.
I work in a school, and a lot of schools, particularly in the senior schools, like high schools, are like most schools now have wellbeing people, counsellors as well, and they have a wellbeing team, and a lot of training for just regular teachers as well around mental health. And that's why I asked whether you thought there might be a shift, whether in accepting and acknowledging that mental health conditions are very common, and most people at some stage in their life may experience an increase of natural anxiety or natural depression that I think everyone is wired to have that depending on circumstances will heighten that. What I have learned when sometimes students will approach me, one of the things that I say is, who are you going to get some help with this? And I've actually said that to friends as well, that might want to share their story with me, and then I often feel like I'm not equipped to deal with it, and that's something that I can then put back on them. Who are you seeing about this? Who are you talking to about this? Because having another person to share their story to may not actually be the answer at all. I think it's actually counterproductive if they're just going around and wearing the issue like a badge, and not actually taking any steps to actually deal with it and to actually improve it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's right. It's that going around in a circle, people going around in a circle. I'm not saying they're saying the same story over, and in a week you have to move them on, but if it's repetitive, for them to say, who's supporting you in this? Who would you like to support you in this, and help them with that decision there. Yeah.
There was one more thing I was reflecting on. People that are in positions of caregiving, like yourself, the counsellor that I've seen in the past, people that are in pastoral care. I mean, some people are really well equipped not to take things on board, like Kay has an ability to do that and be a good listener at the same time. But when we are in positions, or just compassionate people, sometimes we are more often approached by people with problems. And it can be difficult when you feel like you're out of your depth, or that you don't want to hurt the person by saying, look, that's just, I just don't have the scope to be able to help you with this. But I think the one thing you can always do is be kind. I think that always makes a great deal of impact to people, is just to be kind, and kindly tell them about referring them to somebody else who could be able to help with their problem.
Yep.
So, yeah, in reflection all of this, thank you, for coming, because it's really, really helpful to have this conversation. And I think it's so important in churches to have this conversation, because there's often people like the pastor who, we forget as well that they need to have time out. They need to have really strict boundaries so that they can go out to the wilderness. We all need to go out to the wilderness sometimes when we get overwhelmed with people's problems. So I suppose my question to you is, for people that do work in pastoral care and people that are sensitive and that they do take on other people's problems, and it's difficult not to, even if you're really experienced as a counsellor, what sort of things can those people in those roles do to be able to have time out, apart from to go out bush, which sounds good to me too?
Yeah, that's such a great question. That's music to my ears to hear that question there. People who are in that helping profession, in that, and it could be, a lot of you in pastoral care or ministry areas, or even, the welcoming person on the door. If you're in that position where you've got that big sign on your head that says, "Talk to me," okay, and people come up and talk to you, okay, and you're feeling overwhelmed, I think it's really, really helpful to have a mentor person, a prayer buddy. Find someone in a similar situation to you, maybe in another church, and just say, "Hey, I'm struggling myself with this. It's overwhelming me. Can you help me with that?" So I think early in this year we talked about that, and probably maybe next year looking at setting up a group for people in churches who do pastoral care or do connect with people that they come to, and they can ask some questions about how they can help better, or someone that they can offload, and how do they set boundaries. So I think it's really important to be able to speak to someone, even if it's your pastor, you say, "Look, yeah, I'm feeling burnt out," or is to connect with someone that you know is really helpful, or even a person that you know who is in a similar sort of role in another church. Yeah.
The one thing that I have learnt since being in a working capacity at Hills Family Church, as well as it being my church family, is I've learnt a lot from our pastor Mike and Kay about setting boundaries with people, even though when they feel uncomfortable, if you need to have some time where you need to go out to the wilderness, and that time is being interrupted by things which, are just life things, but you really just need to switch off, that you are able to do that. Because I think people that are naturally empathetic feel some guilt for when they're looking after themselves, because they actually like looking after other people. They like being there for people. They don't like saying no. But saying no and setting boundaries can be life-saving, because I've seen a lot of people that have worked in community services that become burnt out because of their beautiful nature and their willingness to give, but perhaps not their willingness to look after themselves in the same capacity.
Yeah. Look after yourself first. And Jesus, think about, if Jesus went out to the wilderness quite a few times, so can I. If he withdrew from people, so can I. And he did it for a reason. We've got time for one more question, I think, have we? Going once. Oh, right at the back there.
Okay, so we're in church, and one of the things about being Christian, of course, you've got this whole world, well, a lot of us have particular worldview about the spirit realm and all that stuff. Where does the spiritual dimension come into the counselling stuff? Some of the long-term anxiety issues, or whatever, not exactly how do you describe it? So that went off about 14 years. It wasn't fixed directly by someone talking to me. It was prayer dealing with specific spiritual issues, and then the end result was spectacular. But obviously, I'm not sure how you'd actually handle that stuff, because some stuff you will come across will be spiritual, but I don't know how you get to the point of actually knowing whether that's what it is or something else.
That's a great question. And sometimes in church we often think that we would just pray for it and be okay. And sometimes it happens. God will heal you. Just have more faith. And that happens sometimes. And I think it comes to part of having the gift of discernment. That's if you got that gift, or you know someone's got the gift of discernment there, that's really helpful, so they can say, hey, and pray with people, definitely, but to see whether it's a spiritual intervention or whether it's a spiritual intervention that needs to happen by using other people's gifts and talents that God's given them to help them. And I think that is spiritual intervention as well, using other people's gifts and talents, the GP, the counsellor, the other pastoral care, their gifts and talents to help that person. Pray for them, pray for yourself, give yourself time, learn about mental health, avoid stigmatising it, change your vocabulary, and have a mentor and prayer person. I think that's about all we've got time for. Is that about right? Yeah, I could speak for another 3 hours, but I won't.
Thank you, Ian. I won't use the chair. Thank you, Ian, for your wise words. I think we all got a lot out of that, and hopefully that people at home got a lot out of that as well. If you do have any other questions that you would like to ask of Ian, or if you're at home watching, by all means email Mike, and he can pass those questions on to Ian. I'm sure Ian would be happy to respond to those however time permits. That would be wonderful. I'd ask the communion stewards if they could share the communion now. Do we have 2 people? Okay. Cassie's. Thank you, Cassie. Thank you, Kay. And if you're at home, please feel free to grab a drink and some bread or a rice cracker or whatever and join with us. That would be wonderful to have you share with us in this meal. I love the way some of our scholars can go into the Greek and the Latin meanings of words and the roots of or the origins of words and pull them apart. I don't have that skill. When it comes to music, I'm hopeless. When it comes to languages, I'm perhaps even more hopeless. But that's okay. I know the limitations of my own personality. But I was looking at and dwelling on the word communion yesterday. And I deliberately pulled it apart and looked at 2 words within it. One was common, and the second was the union, a unity that we share in common. So what I was thinking was, even though we may not be together physically, we are together in spirit, and we are together to share a meal. And we share that meal whether we are here, whether we're in Broken Hill, whether we are somewhere else, right across the world. We get to share this meal together. And while it's always acceptable to take communion individually, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing so, because the focus is never on the individual taking the meal, but on Jesus who sacrificed himself for us. The Last Supper was taken in unity with Jesus' disciples, together as a whole for the last time. So we break bread together in remembrance of Jesus' body broken for us. Let us eat as one. And we drink together in remembrance of his blood poured out for us, as a sign of the new covenant in Christ. Let us drink as one. Shortly after this Last Supper, Judas is sent away, and Jesus declares, "A new command I give you. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." Amen. And I think the message that we got from Ian today, with the questions and answers and the videos, was very clear to us that we are to love one another. And we get to do that in unity. I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of Hills Family Church to thank Ian today for coming, and also Marg. Marg's not here today, but thank you, kind sir, for giving up your time and efforts. We do appreciate it, and that's just a small gift of a thanks for our token of appreciation. So thank you for that. Thank you all for being here this morning. I know we've been a bit light on numbers, but hopefully there are a few million more watching online. That would be wonderful. We would love to see you here next Saturday, of course, for Springfest. If you have a Mexican hat and you want to wear it, that would probably be great, because I know we're all going to be praying for lovely weather, so the sun will be shining. Bring a hat, sunscreen, that would be fantastic. And a reminder that next Sunday, of course, we have Teen Challenge here with us, so please feel free to come and share with those guys. It would be great to have them. So in terms of blessing, have an amazing week. Have an awesome, spirit-filled week. God bless, and love to see you back here soon. Amen. God bless.